Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday when I'm doing this. I don't know what day it is when you're watching it. Beautiful day outside. Pardon me as I get a little vitamin C, OFFEE. DIY Jesus, we're still at it. Item number 9. I'll let you know what it's. I'll let you know what it says in just a minute. But let's see. DIY Jesus, item number 1. Love one another based on John 13, 34, and 35. Item number 2. Don't just read the word, but do what it says based on James, Jesus' half brother. We'll get into him more in a minute, but James 1:22. Item 3, be transformed, don't conform. Romans 12:1 and 2. Item 4, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel. Philippians 1:27. Item 5, live in harmony. Romans 12:16. Let's see. Item 6, walk in the light. 1 John 1:7. Item 7.1 and 7.2, remember the preciousness of what you've got. Not based on any particular verse, mainly a story from my life, but and events out of my life and kind of the whole process up to where we are now. Item number 8, stop sinning, based on Romans 6:11 through 14. And item number 9, be generous. Be generous, based on James chapter 2, verse 14 through 19, that I'll get into in a minute. So it intrigued me. It kind of came up to the forefront on all this that everything we've been looking at, you think of every one of those items that I just listed off, every one of them should, if you get serious about them, should improve you. And quite frankly, improve you as a believer or a non-believer. I mean, anyway, well, not all of them, of course, but you get the idea. If you see these challenges, as you see these as, I guess really is the same way I do. If you remember, I started all this when the Holy Spirit said, hey, read every book of the New Testament except for the Gospels, Acts, and Revelation. Read everything else. And what it has given me is a picture of what the people that walked with Christ, what they told us to do and what not to do. And here we are in item number 9, and be generous. I told you that the verse is that we're going to use is the passage is based on James chapter 2, verse 14 through 19. James is Jesus' half brother. I say half brother because God was Jesus' father. Joseph was James's father. Go read about that in Luke and other places. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll go into that in the scriptural account of Jesus' birth. It's really pretty fascinating when you get right down to it. But anyway, here's James, who did not believe Jesus was Messiah until very, very late in the story. Actually, potentially even after his death, and more importantly, resurrection and ascension. But anyway, James chapter 2, verse 14. Hit the brakes, sorry. This was written in AD 49. The Jerusalem Council happened in AD 50. Paul wrote his first book, if I remember correctly, in AD 54. One of the first books of the New Testament written was James, this book that we're about to write. And it's really important to me that it happened before the Jerusalem Council, because these are just words that really came to the forefront to me in the Jerusalem Council, that kind of made it official, so to speak. You can read about it in Acts. Anyway, but in other words, and relative to the time, this was cutting edge stuff, if you will. Very interesting, very interesting. And of course, remember now, we're only talking AD 49, we're only talking 16 years 15 odd years after the end of Christ's earthly ministry. And these guys are carrying it on. And in regard to carrying on Jesus' earthly ministry, what did they have to say? Here's what James had to say. James chapter 2, verse 14 through 19. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but no deeds? Can such a faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes or daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. But someone will say, "You have faith and I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds." You believe that there is one God. Good. Even the demons believe that, and they shudder. I've been on that verse for a long time, and not that passage, but that verse, chapter 2, verse 19, James 2:19. And my question out of that for a long time has been, what about God makes you shudder? But the demons do. Case in point, I was talking about, let me put this down. I was talking about the biblical account, chasing a rabbit for a second, talking about the biblical account of Jesus' birth. One of the things that Gabriel told Mary was that he would be known as Son of the Most High God. The only entity to refer to Jesus as Son of the Most High was Legion. No one else referred to him Son of the Most High, Son of the Most High God, either way. No one else did that but Legion. I find that incredibly, really actually exciting, but in a somewhat similar sense challenging. And the reason I said that is, could it be that the demons know God, know Jesus better than us? What about us? What about God in our lives makes us shudder? So in the same sense, or opposite sense, let me put it that way. If we don't know what makes us shudder, the negative, let's call that the negative connotation, negative question. What about the positive? What of God in our lives causes us to do good, to be generous? There's about 22 other verses. Of course, I'll put the notes up later. There's about 22 other verses besides the one in James that I have on the sheet, and all of them pertain to being generous, obviously, since that's the topic in DIY Jesus. Item number 9: be generous. But it's so consistent. Every one of the New Testament writers said something about being generous. Said it in different forms, but ultimately, in regard to being generous, James's challenge, James's the theme, if you will, in that is, what does Jesus cause to happen in your life? How do you live? I don't remember if it was here or somewhere else. I was talking about the things I'm thankful for about COVID. I know it's kind of a crazy thing to say, but one of the things I'm thankful for, and again, this is just consistently weird, I suppose, when you think about it, but one of the things that I'm thankful for is that it has shown us that we may not be quite as generous, quite as kind as a country, as a people, as believers, as we thought we were. And we really need to change that. If I'm right, You know, I mean, it's not hard to be better than me. So maybe you are better than me in your generosity. I know a guy that I'll be with him here in just a little bit, but it occurred to me that I've never seen him give money to someone in the form of a check. It's always been in cash, and it doesn't have his name on it. You know what I mean? He can't. It's very easy for him not to get credit for something, and I like that a lot. I think that's the generosity, the core of the generosity or an aspect. Let's call it that, an aspect of the generosity that James is talking about. Jesus said, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, right? But I pray that that'll challenge you, and I pray that you'll think about the things that you've got going on in your life that may be presented as a negative. That actually, the sun's kind of coming up a little bit, but sorry. But you may see it as a negative. Maybe it is a positive to get you thinking another way, get you working another way, get you doing another way. I think the way we do church now, I think post-COVID, a church of a certain size, I don't know what that size is, I don't really care, frankly, but anyway, a church of a certain size probably won't be able to do church the way it did pre-COVID. So much more, case in point, this right here. So much more is on YouTube and on Facebook and on whatever format it may be, Twitter, or what have you, where the message of Christ is getting out in different ways. But my point in that, and using that example, is that the way that we can be generous now is different post-COVID than it was pre-COVID. The way we can help people, and this I think really stems to cell phones. You see somebody let me reword that, make it more personal. When I see someone stranded on the side of the road, my first thought is, oh, it's okay, they've got a cell phone. Do they really? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it seems like it has gotten so easy to say, oh, someone else can do it. And maybe that's a confession on my part. I hope it is. I hope you're different than I am. But regardless, it's a confession on my part. And I think that's something that I need to change. Item number 9, be generous. If for no other reason, because it's the right thing to do. So I'll go through them again real quick. Item 1, love one another. 2, don't just read the word, do what it says. 3 is be transformed, don't conform. 4 is conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel. 5 is live in harmony. 6 is walk in the light. 7, 1 and 2 is remember the preciousness of what we've got. Item 8 is stop sinning. And item number 9 is be generous. So I pray that that's what we're found doing, that we are generous. And I pray that as we are generous, that generosity, that example that we live out, can attract other people to the most generous, Christ. That's it. That's all I got. Have a great day. Be blessed. We'll see you next week. Bye.